When we enter the exhibition A Show of Nothing, we are invited to go upstairs and have a look on the exhibition space of the first floor from the top of a structure that allow us not just to see the entire first floor of the show, but also to almost touch the ceiling and have an appreciation from a different perspective, quite unusual, of the exhibition space. When we go down, the first work that we encounter is by the Italian artist Franco Vaccari, who collected a series of elements that were used in a work of art that he created in 1972, titled Exhibition in Real Time, Leave a Trace of Your Passage. So in this work, Franco Vaccari is presenting the invitation to the public, a strip of photographs taken on that occasion by someone that was visiting the show, and then the invitation card. So it is a way of letting us understand how when nothing seems to be inside a project or in a room, it's not that the case. And this similar investment on the space, where apparently nothing is happening when we enter in the exhibition for the first time, is going to be similar to the work Clockwork by Roman Ondak, Czech artist that create a clockwork in the room of biometers and that ask visitors to become participants of the works. So at the beginning, the room is completely empty, and there is an attendant that explains the project and a performer that is writing down the name, the surname, and the time given by visitors that decide to interact with him or her. So this may create almost a living clockwork, which not just is able to measure the time, but also it's able to record the passage of the people that were present in A Show About Nothing and decided to agree to the invitation of Roman Ondak of leaving trace of the time when they were entering in the exhibition. We explore the relationship between art and nothing by looking at the way in which some artists have addressed the idea of labor. In particular, a work by Wu Shanzhan. It's a red billboard where it's written with black ink in 3 different languages: Chinese, English and Icelandic. It's telling the question and posing the question how to do nothing. It's also explored in Li Liao's work. Li Liao is a Chinese artist who's asking his wife to pick up some of the fabrics that have been dismissed by the company where she is working, which is producing textiles. And in her spare time, she is asked to staple this fabric because she was supposed to do an action, or some works or something during the spare time by the company itself. So the artist is somehow hijacking this time, and at the same time he is actually doing anything because all the labor has been done by his wife. Another artist that is making a case in point in the relationship between art, nothing and labor is Mladen Stilinovic. We are presenting 2 works, the manifesto in praise of laziness and a series of photograph artists at work. In the series of photographs, we can see the artist sleeping in different positions, and this is something that it's connecting on somehow the way in which otium or the more not making something is actually considered something very inspirational, seen from the very ancient time in the Western tradition, particularly with the Romans, with the antique Romans. In the video installation by Tong Wen-min, we can see in the screen the action that brought the artist to produce the final sculpture that we can see next to the screen. Tong Wen-min taped all the way through a village, the street, and then she took off the tape and started to unroll it on itself until she created a sculpture that is a kind of spheric with all the dust and the dirt that got stick to the tape. So it's in a way a description of a landscape, but at the same time it's also again a reflection on how things can be done by really little interventions or little know-how sometimes. We could say that sometimes the relationship between art and nothing it's under our plain sight. It looks like if there's nothing and instead something is happening. And this is, for example, the case of the work by Giovanni Anselmo, the Italian artist from Arte Povera. Giovanni Anselmo proposed us this mysterious projector that is placed in the middle of the room, and the title of the work is Invisible. And the minute in which we position our hand or part of our body in front of the projector, we can see the writing visible, which means that for something to become visible, sometimes it doesn't mean that there is nothing. It means that we need to use our body in a different way, to change our posture, to start thinking about things in a different way, and that will allow us to see things. A similar concept is present in the work by Robert Grosvenor, who's an artist that presents us with three sculptures that loosely remind us about cars, but at the same time we are not sure they are cars because they are brand new, and they also look like there's something wrong, a mistake, something that has been erased by time, but at the same time they are brand new. So in front of this conundrum of time, where nothing seems to have happened, but still nothing seems to be in the right place, we come back with the idea that we have this present, these beautiful sculptures that also relates in a way to our ideas of what is a car. The same doubt we have with the work at the top of the ladder, next to the ladder actually, a pink balloon. A pink balloon that is floating and has lost any connection with anyone. In the same room, there are then some examples of the instruction pieces by Yoko Ono. This is a seminal work of conceptual art where the artists were proposing visitors and readers to follow these instructions. These could be instructions that will be followed in a second moment, in another time, in another space. And they have all not just a poetic engagement, an ecological engagement with the words and with the world, but also in some cases are requiring to do or to trying to do nothing. The series of photographs by Jan Ko-chun are inspired by the landscape of the Yellow River, which is a landscape that has been touched by the humans and transformed by the humans. And in some cases we can see the remnants of the passages of the humans. In some other cases we can see how nature is like the witness of what has been left by the intervention of the humans, where nothing seems to be there and to be alive. Instead, we understand that it's still connected in a vital ecological system, where an ecosystem that is basically reappropriating or re-asking those infrastructures or those elements left by human, but instead taken part from nature. Require visitors to intervene directly on the surface of the work, which is carpet that is done and to be undone by the following visitors. And so every day it's a work of art that is transforming itself without leaving any kind of physical trace of the passages of the visitors, but at the same time it's a work of art that lives through the engagement of the visitors with it and with its surface. Warm Up, it's a performance by Kali Spooner, where performing basically their warm-up routine before any kind of show or any kind of moment in which the work of a dancer or a performer will be shown to a public. There is always a more private moment of warming up, where the body is stretched through a series of exercises that are really part of a personal routine according to the body of the performer. And what is interesting for Kali Spooner is this private moment that is not in any way usually shown to the public, become instead a moment very important to reflect the way in which we are nowadays required to keep performing in front of someone else, while this moment is so private, at the same time so important for the health of our body, of the body of the performers, is finally recognized as a practice of resistance, basically, of what we are asked to do. And so the performance will never happen, the performance after this warming up, because the piece in itself is about the warm-up. Tino Segal and Gon Jung-hee, the artists that are welcoming with their works visitors at the 6th floors. The performance by Tino Segal will suddenly start the entering of the visitors in the room, and visitors will have to experience by themselves what's all about. Finally, the work by Jan Sake is instead at the center of the room, and it's very visible. It's a work that changes its form every other moment because the form depends from the way in which the fan moves the piece of fabric floating above it, but at the same time the condition of the air in the room according to the number of people and the movement of the visitors inside the room and around the room.